Donnie Collins joins us, Scranton Times-Tribune. My friend, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
I throw a stat sheet in front of you, and you didn't see the game. Compare that stat sheet to the game you watched.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think James said it best after the game. You know, every stat, and I think it's probably the first game all season where they won. They hit every one of their goals. Statistically, they dominated in areas that they always want to statistically dominate, and it just didn't have that feel to it. It wasn't the look of the game wasn't dominant, but in defense of Penn State, they're up 14-0, and I think that as much as anything else took a lot of the starch out of them. It's and Central Michigan's pretty good. I don't think they're a bad football team. They played the Sun Bowl last year. They won it, I believe.
They did.
But yeah, that's the defending MAC champion, co-champion, whatever it is. So yeah, and Lou Nichols is a quality back. I think the quarterback is pretty solid. So I wasn't surprised they came back, but I think they let the foot off the pedal a little bit or too early in the game, and that's what happened. But still, it's a convincing win if you look at the statistics. And at the end, I think that's important to note because that's where a lot of people are going to look at this game down the road.
Sure.
That's a pretty good win.
Right. Going into the season, I was talking with Jack, and he said, what do you think about the two games, Ohio, Central Michigan? I said, well, Central Michigan, is a lot better than Ohio. This is back in July. And it proved out that way. But it just seemed like after the 14-0 lead, and this is just me, it just seemed like everything was like a half step off. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought that. And look, I don't want to, point out to one play. But, they throw the pass to Liam Clifford and they lose the yard. And I thought to myself, that's early in the game to do that. Maybe, I don't know if they had that pre-planned or what it was. But I just thought at that point, you throw in that play on 1st and 10 at your own 10, you lose a yard. It kind of set up, a couple of bad series there. And Central Michigan scored the two times they had decent field position, they scored.
Yeah,
they found the end zone. And when they didn't have decent field position, they didn't score. They couldn't. They really struggled to move the ball. So I think if you take about 10 minutes out of that game. The Penn State would like to have back. I thought they played pretty well, and you can go back and look at moments in the Auburn game where hey, that looks like they played a perfect game, and they did, but a lot of things went their way in that game, and some things didn't go their way in this game. So I think it was I think there's just a couple of minutes there you would like to take away, but other than that, I think you're playing a team that could win the MAC. I thought they did a good job.
Look, they won. Georgia played Kent State. They won by 17, 39-22. They won. That's like check next. Kaytron Allen. There's been a lot of talk, and justifiably, about Nicholas Singleton. It's always been, hey, look, Kaytron Allen, don't forget about him. Okay, he had the 111 on Saturday. He's the Big Ten Freshman of the Week. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I thought this against Auburn. Now, Singleton, obviously, a much more dynamic athlete than anybody Penn State has on offense, where he's going to, at any point he touches the ball, he could take it 80 yards for a score, and that's extremely valuable. But I thought against Auburn, Allen looked like maybe more of a complete running back to me. I mean, that cutback he made, on the 3-yard touchdown run to score. I thought that showed me some vision and some feel for the position that was beyond his years. So it really wasn't all that surprising to me that he goes out and has a game like he had on Saturday, where he looked like a complete bag. I think he's going to get. He doesn't have the breakaway speed. Nobody's advertised that he does. That Singleton has, but if you want 4 yards, Kaytron Allen's going to get you 4 yards and get you 5 yards. He's going to wear defenses down. That's what makes this running game a lot better. It's not just necessarily Singleton to me breaking off 50, 60-yard runs. It's Allen being able to get 5 yards when in the past they would get 2 or 3, and then it's a big difference with your running game when you're putting yourself in third and short consistently. And I think that's really been, to me, the moral of the Penn State story through 4 games this year. They've been in much more makeable third downs, much more consistently. They've run the ball pretty decent, and the offensive line looks a lot better because players behind them are a lot better.
And to me, there are a lot of check marks I can go on the positive side from this game. Brenton Strange played really well again. Abdul Carter continues to be a big plus. Chop played well. Dennis Sutton got a couple sacks. Curtis Jacobs. If you're opposite Joey Porter Jr., you're going to get more attention. What did you think of Kalen King?
I thought he's been terrific all season. There was a lot of talk, they didn't throw at him in the first game. Well, sometimes you throw to your strength. And in the first game, Charlie Jones is a strength for Purdue. So there was a lot of Joey Porter coverage here, and I really thought that showed off what Joey Porter can do. But in the last couple of games, Kalen King's been tremendous. And I thought the forced fumble was, first of all, that's what happens when you complete a pass on the guy. He just goes right for the football.
Right.
He's tried it every time. But I thought that was a tremendous hustle play. Really sealed the game for them. But he's in one-on-one coverage. You're not going to throw the ball up to. I don't care how good the receiver is. He's going to win his share of battles. So I think King's been great. I think Pro Football Focus, and I don't put a whole lot of stock in that, had him as the number 1 cornerback in the country for his performance on Saturday, and it certainly looked pretty good to me. And I think he's a very, very solid player all around. But the more they throw at him, the more you see. He's kind of like Porter, not long arm guy, but he's got a real feel for that position and a nose for the ball. And they just don't throw at him a ton. But they don't throw at Porter a ton anymore either. You'll notice.
Yeah, I noticed that. Penn State. The special teams part, I think a lot of people have discussed, but let's discuss this part because part of it's turnovers, takeaways. But Penn State's a plus 584 yards on field position right now. That's about 146 yards a game, a football field and a half. I mean, Donnie, it changes the dynamics of the game when you're getting that kind of advantage that you, by the way, are creating.
Yeah, and I asked a couple of questions in the beginning of the season about the kickoff units and the punt team because I thought that was a big question mark coming into the year. I mean, Jordan Stout wasn't just a good punter; he was maybe I want to say maybe. I think he was the best
punter in the country. Look, the guys that got a line drive, the ball hits, dribbles 25 yards, and everybody goes, "Oh, look at the average." I'm like, "Oh, jeez."
Yeah, look at the net. Look at a lot of things that really matter just as much in punting as anything else. But even on kickoff, it had been a year since anybody legitimately returned a kick against Stout.
Right.
So I thought, you don't have that guy anymore. What do you have? We don't know. Now, Barney Moore has been great.
Yeah.
He's been far better than anybody could have ever imagined he was going to be. And I won't say he won them the game on Saturday, but he sure made it so they couldn't lose. He's got that punt was fumbled because Barney made that's fading hard toward the sideline. That's a tough play to make.
Yep.
So they get the fumble and the score off of that. But then he pins them at the 6. He pins them early in the game at the 3 when they absolutely needed it. And that field position was shaky for them a little bit there. To that point, to the point you're trying to make, the one time all year where they had a real field position disadvantage, Central Michigan scored back-to-back touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it makes a huge difference. And I think James has kind of mentioned a couple times this year that the kickoffs aren't as consistently deep as he wants them. They aren't as consistently in the direction he wants them. And that'll get better. Those two guys are young. They're not quite there yet. But if Barney's going to punt like this is going to be a team that can still continue to dominate field position. And I think punting is way more important with field position than kickoffs are. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things where your punter has, you could choose when to flip field position if you have that kind of a punter. So, I think he's been a major plus for this team. And I think to me, he's probably been the best punter in the country this year to me.
Oh, look. And again, I can tick off a long list of positives from Saturday. But again, it just had the feel of it just seemed like the last 3 quarters, maybe a quarter to a half step off here, quarter to a half step there. I mean, but they won by 19. So now I have to ask you about Aaron Judge. He played at Scranton Wilkes-Barre. What was he like? Everybody says he's just a great guy. What was he like to deal with, and what was he like at Scranton Wilkes-Barre?
No, he is as personable a guy and humble. You would never. And now we didn't think at this point when he was here. It was 2016 around there. He was here for a couple of seasons, but we didn't think he was going to be this kind of player. We thought he could get his 40 home runs just because he's massive. We thought he was more of a Ryan Howard guy, another guy we had come through years ago.
Dave Kingman.
Exactly. I thought he'd strike out way too much, but the one thing I knew about the guy, the way he works is off the charts. He would, anybody who had an idea for him, he would take it into the cage and try to work with it. And if it didn't work, he bagged it. Thanks for your advice. But he's really gotten very good over the years at cleaning up his weaknesses. And he had a bunch of them when he was here. I would tell you straight up that when he was here, he was the second best power hitter on the team. That Gary Sanchez was a way better hitter than Aaron Judge was. Yep. But Judge has really worked himself into being a tremendous hitter. And he's obviously 6'7". He's built like he's Rob Gronkowski's size.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see Gabe Nwosu going down to kick. That's Aaron Judge's size. That's as big as the guy is. So he's got the athleticism. But when you stay humble and you work as hard as a guy like that does, and you don't have any superstar, what's the word? It's superstar tendencies. Is the best way.
He doesn't have superstar swagger. He's like one of the guys that's a really good player.
Yeah, I've had a lot of discussions with him. He's from kind of the area where my wife is from, so we kind of had a lot of talks about where he's from. He's just a guy who's from a very small town. He loves his hometown. He loved his college. We went out to a vacation out there a couple of years ago. And he's like, send me a picture of Fresno State. He doesn't forget where he came from. He doesn't forget his struggles. He doesn't. He tries to put his successes away. But I think he's really relishing this whole scene, and not relishing it to the point where he's going to let it go on for 6 days, which he has. But, I think he's really trying hard now, and he needs to kind of. I think what he's going to say when he finally hits this is he just try to get back to hitting some line drive. But tremendous guy, and I think part of the reason people are into this, because he'll admit this is not the record. I don't think this is the record. It's the American League record. Yeah. But I think the reason you're cutting into games, if you're Major League Baseball, to show this guy, is because he's exactly the kind of guy you want. You would prefer to have this record rather than where it is right now. He's just a tremendous guy, and I couldn't be. I wouldn't be happier for anybody else in the game to be in this position.
Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know, just quick cliff notes. Aaron Judge was adopted, 1 day old, adopted. When he was about 9, he's kind of realizing that, I don't really look like my brother, right? Because I think his brother's adopted too. And so they explained to them that, you're adopted. Loved it, embraced his parents, did a great job raising him, and he keeps something. I don't know if it's in his locker or it's on a bracelet or something. It's 179. You want to know why he has that? That was his batting average his first year with the Yankees. He wants to remember what it was like when he started.
Jeter was like that too. Jeter was here for a couple of weeks, but his big story to the AAA guys when he was here rehabbing for those couple of weeks was 56. That's how many errors he made first year. Yeah. The great ones don't forget their, as much as they don't want him out there, they don't forget their struggles. And Judge is he's not a natural, but he has really worked himself into being somebody who can, who he's always loved the game. He had football scholarships. Yeah. He had more football scholarships than you could. Fresno wanted them. Notre Dame, he said, wanted them. But he remembers 179, and that's that's what drives him. And the great ones thrive off their struggles.
Yeah.
They don't rest on their successes.
And he is a great defensive player. I mean, he works hard at his defense. This is not a one-trick baseball player. He is a really terrific all-around player. He didn't go to Staten Island, so he never played against the Spikes. Gary Sanchez did. He played against the Spikes because he was at Staten Island, but not Judge. But I knew you covered him. He was there a couple of years. I know you know him. That's why I wanted to ask, especially when he's on the threshold of history. Donnie, always a pleasure. Really appreciate you a lot. Great work as always.
Thanks, Steve.